Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, holiday weekend, May 24th, 2019.
Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, Davis, and Caloza are present. President James, we do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning. John Olinger, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning. Victor Tercios, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning. Ali Visi, LA Sanitation.
Good morning. Nick Lopez, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning. Ramsey Sawaya, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning. Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we have no speaker cards under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. No speaker cards were received on any of the items for today's agenda.
Okay, then we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Let's go ahead and take care of a couple of the contract acceptances. Council District 14, agenda item number 5, contract acceptance, 3rd Street Tunnel Emergency Repair, 3rd Street Bridge Emergency Inspection, recommending that the board accept the contract. Mr. Olinger, how are you?
Good morning. John Olinger, Bureau of Contract Administration. I'm here to ask for your acceptance on the 3rd Street Tunneling Emergency Repair, also known as the 3rd Street Bridge Emergency Inspection. The work order was E1908459. On November 27th, 2018, an emergency geotechnical structural construction services contract was awarded to PPC Construction, Inc. for the 3rd Street Tunnel Emergency Repair Project. PPC Construction was issued a construction order and was the top listed contractor on the rotational on-call list under contract number C123913, and the work order was E1908459. The project was awarded for $96,371.05 with an not exceed amount of $100,000. The authority to proceed was issued on November 29th, 2018. Work was completed on December 20th, 2018. The project provided for emergency inspection and removal of failing concrete panel facade on the west end of the 3rd Street Tunnel in downtown Los Angeles. The address was 716 West 3rd Street. The final cost of the project was $96,371.05. There were no funds disputed or withheld, therefore no funds are due to the contractor. Were there any questions?
Any questions on number 5? No questions on number 5. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5, seconded by Commissioner Caloza. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt number 5. I'm going to assume, Mr. Olinger, that you're here on number 6 as well. And you are. That's a contract acceptance for Council District 11, Emergency Repair Services, on-call contract, capital improvement program, project number 2479, the Centrifuge Building Emergency Repairs, recommending that the board accept the contract on number 6. Go ahead.
Good morning. John Olinger, Bureau of Contract Administration. I'm here to ask for your acceptance on the Emergency Repair Services on-call contract for the Capital Improvement Program, project number 2479. The Centrifuge Building Emergency Repairs, and the work order for the project was SZH11867. On August 18th, 2016, your board authorized the city engineer to utilize the current on-call contract for the Centrifuge Building Emergency Repairs project. United Riggers and Erectors was issued a construction order and was the top listed contractor on the rotational on-call list under contract number C114649. The work order was SCH11867. The not to exceed amount for this project was $1 million. The authority to proceed was issued on September 7th, 2016. Work began on September 7th, 2016, and was completed on August 25th, 2017. The project provided for the emergency repair of the dewatering centrifuge facility and several adjacent facilities, including the truck loading facility, dewatering facility, and the polymer testing facility that sustained damage as a result of the catastrophic failure of centrifuge number 4. The final cost of the project was $993,946.81. There were no funds disputed or withheld, therefore no funds are due to the contractor. Were there any questions?
Any questions on number 6 on closing out this contract? No questions. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending 6 forthwith? We'll send number 6 forthwith. Thank you, sir. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7 is an authority for expenditure. Los Angeles County Tax Collector, Sanitation, and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of authority for expenditure in the amount of $50,350. This is to pay for additional funds to cover our taxes, our annual secured property taxes for fiscal year 2018-19 for various sanitation properties. Sounds like an easy one to me. Mr. Hare, go ahead. Is there anything additional we need to know on this one?
No, you pretty much summed it up. Hi, thank you, Scott Hare, Bureau of Sanitation. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. It's an AE to repay the remainder of the $50,350 for property taxes that we own.
Okay, well, we have to pay them, so I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Any issue sending 7 forthwith? We'll send number 7 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Let's see, agenda item, let me see where we are here. 5, 6, 7, 4. Let's go ahead and take number 3. And then we have a presentation after that. Agenda, Office of Community Beautification, Council District 4, Contract Amendment, Los Angeles Conservation Corps, recommending that the board authorize the Office of Community Beautification to execute a contract amendment with LA Conservation Corps in the amount of $8,000 to provide funding for supplemental community beautification services in tree maintenance in Council District 4, and authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract amendment after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Mr. Roch on number 3.
Good morning, Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. This is a small amount of funding that was transferred from the office of Councilmember Rue in order to provide resources for watering and maintenance of trees spread kind of throughout the CD4 area that have recently been planted by LACC through the City Plants program. So this is just work in order to keep the trees alive and viable over the summer months and as they get established for the next year, 2 years. So.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Cabello's made a motion, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Thank you, sir. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Agenda item number 1, Bureau of Contract Administration, amended memorandum of understanding with Contract Compliance Services, recommending that the board authorize the director of BCA and the general manager of Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department, that's HCID, to execute an amendment to the memorandum of understanding, the MOU, between BCA and HCID dated March 29, 2017, to allow the 2 departments to expand upon the current cooperation agreement and include services related to the passage of Measure HHH. And secondly, authorize the director of BCA, it's John Reamer, and the general manager of HCID to allow the inclusion of HCID community investment neighborhood improvement projects to the agreement. Ms. Chisholm, hi.
Good morning, Commissioners and Bureau representatives. Andrew Chisholm, Bureau of Contract Administration. I'm here to present the proposed amendment to an existing memorandum of understanding between Housing Community Investment Department and the Bureau of Contract Administration. Essentially, the amendment would expand BCA's and HCID's agreement to include programs as they relate to community investment and neighborhood improvement projects. With regard to these programs, BCA is the Certified State Labor Legacy Compliance Program and would monitor and enforce all federal and state prevailing wage determinations. This amendment also includes the expanded responsibilities with the passage of Measure HHH, the bond measure goal to create up to 10,000 permanent and supportive housing units to address homeless issues in the city of Los Angeles. BCA is mandated as the designated administrative agency for HHH projects with project labor agreements. These HHH projects covered by project labor agreements would be the sole responsibility of BCA to monitor and enforce state and federal prevailing wage requirements and also the targeted hiring goals in that project labor agreement. Would you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions at all for Ms. Chisholm on this agenda item number 1? I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioners Garcia, Caloza, and Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending 1 forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Agenda item number 2, Council District 11 from Sanitation, authority to apply for, accept, negotiate, and execute agreements from the State Water Resources Control Board Water Recycling Funding Program, recommending that the board approve and forward the report with its transmittals to the City Council and Mayor, with the recommendation that the City Council, subject to concurrence of the Mayor, authorize the Director of LA Sanitation and Environment or his designee to apply for, accept, negotiate, and execute all grant documents, including but not limited to applications, agreements, and amendments, subject to the approval of the City Attorney as to form and legality which may be necessary to secure and receive funding from the State Water Resources Control Board Water Recycling Funding Program Pilot Project Grant, say that fast 5 times, for the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Membrane Bioreactor Facility Pilot Project. Put that together. Secondly, request that the City Council, subject to the concurrence of the Mayor, adopt the accompanying resolution, that's transmittal number 1, authorizing the submission of the grant application to the SCRCB Water Recycling Funding Pilot Project Grant, and appoint Sanitation or his designee to conduct all negotiations, execute and submit all documents to secure funding, including but not limited to applications, agreements, amendments, payment requests, etc., subject to the approval of the City Attorney as to form, which may be necessary to carry out the purpose of this resolution in compliance with the grant requirements to complete the proposed project. Again, this is for the State Water Resources Control Board Water Recycling Funding Program Pilot Project Grant for the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Membrane Bioreactor Facility Pilot Project. Here we are on a Friday morning. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Rowena Lau from LA Sanitation, Centralized Grants Unit. I'm here today with the project manager, Nasir and Mami in the audience. LA Sanitation is requesting the board's approval in this report and its transmittals to apply, accept, negotiate, and execute a grant with the State Water Resources Control Board Water Recycling Funding Program Pilot Project Grant for the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Membrane Bioreactor Facility Pilot Project. This pilot project will examine the feasibility of utilizing nitrification and denitrification membrane bioreactor treatment processes at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant to improve water quality and increase the reuse potential of recycled water for indirect potable and non-potable water reuse. The total budget of this project is $13.2 million. LA Sanitation is applying for a grant consideration in the amount not to exceed $1 million, which represents 8% of the total project costs. The grants receivable, if awarded, will be on a reimbursement basis. As part of the state's requirement, we are requesting the authority from the board, City Council, and the Mayor's office to transmit an authorizing resolution. The authorizing resolution is needed to show the state that the board, City Council, and the Mayor has authorized the submission of the application, and if approved, to receive the grant and execute the necessary documents. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Lau. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. Colleagues, I really want to stress the importance of pilot programs such as this and the ability to get funding from the state to partially fund these programs, given that the Mayor has given us this very ambitious mandate of 100% wastewater recycling by 2035. We need to be as ingenious and as smart and as quick as possible to get there. And I have to read it because I can never memorize MBR. Membrane Bioreactor Facility Pilot Project are one of the tools that hopefully will get us where we need to be. So I hope you will join me in supporting my motion to move this forward.
Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? And Commissioner Caloza, any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, ma'am. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith?
Thank
We
you.
will send number 2 forthwith. Dr. Campos, we are left with number 4 and number 8, correct?
Voting items, item number 4, 8, and the approval of the minutes as well.
Well, let's do the minutes then. Monday, April 15th, 2019. Any objection? That was Commissioner Caballo's second. No objection, so the meeting minutes will be approved. So that leaves us with number 4 and number 8. So let's go ahead, Mr. Rutch, and take our certificate of recognition from the Office of Community Beautification this morning. Who might we have here today, sir?
So we're bringing forward a gentleman who's been a part of our office for the past year and a half, approximately, year and a half. He's a guy that probably needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. This is Mohammed Sharif. He's been intern with the Office of Community Beautification, and he's just got one of those outgoing personalities that I'm sure you've all had a chance to get to know him and meet him. I see him having lunch with people from the mayor's office down on the second floor and CLA's office and all over the place. So he's definitely a politician in the making, I think. But he has done a great job working in our office, doing a lot of work with Keep LA Beautiful. And then he's also really taken on, in about the last 6 months or so, a lot of the sidewalk rebate program and doing a lot of reports and things like that. You know, he is a self-starter, a very motivated individual. He's somebody who is able to get a lot of work done without a lot of direction. He's good at figuring things out. And he's brought a good sense of humor and enlightenment to our office. We're going to miss having him here. Hopefully it will just be a short period in which he won't be around. Yeah, vacation, unpaid
Leave
vacation,
of
but vacation. We do have a few things, that we're hoping, there might be some way of possibly bringing him back. But tomorrow is his last day. He's going to be out at the MacArthur Park cleanup, celebrating the conclusion of Public Works Week. Really, the only negative thing I can say about him, it's not a negative thing, but my one complaint about him is I could never get him to call me by my first name. I'm always Mr. Roch, and I keep telling him, just call me Paul. Just call
I
me
tried
Paul.
the same thing, Paul. It just never works.
It has not worked. There have been a couple times where I've stood there and just held the door and told him, I'm not going in until you go in first. But, he tries to, hold the door for everybody. But, the board does have this certificate of recognition. I'll just read it very quickly and then open it up for any comments to Mohammed A. Sharif, administrative intern, for your services as an administrative intern in the city of Los Angeles, Board of Public Works, and your involvement and dedication to keep Los Angeles beautiful, Safe Sidewalk LA, and community beautification services. So, Mohammed, congratulations. Job well done. Thank you very much. I'm going to guess they might want to say something, then give you a chance.
Thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President James. Mohammed, I was hoping this day would never come, to be quite frankly. You were such a great, you are such a great asset to the department, to OCB, but also to the board itself. And ever since I came, you were so welcoming and you were so open to just working along. And I think we kind of meshed right away, and we worked together for the past year and a half on many things. One of the things I can really say is that you're very resourceful. Your attention to detail is rare, because I really don't get that, but you really pay attention to the details, which I really like. You're professional. You've done great things, even just being an intern here. So I think we call you more than an intern. You're not a student anymore. You're definitely ready to serve here as in the public service realm. So wherever you go, and I hope whatever time lapse we have and whatever we're trying to work out can work out in the next couple of weeks, so we could actually bring you back. And it's something that we hope you consider as well. But we know that you're an asset all around, so you might find other avenues, which we, I think, here fully support anything that you do. So I, as a commissioner, fully recommend any position that you would go into because you are ready for that. So thank you, Mohammed, for being here. This is just probably a process and more of an administration, and hope we can get you in somehow as we move forward. So thank you, Mohammed, for all you do. I do want to say that Mohammed was very resourceful in putting together some of the community cleanups. You've taken some lead on both conferences, last year's KLAB conference and this year's conference, and you're also part of this cyber repair program, which not just part of it. When we had Ana Huizar go out for maternity for a couple of months, you stepped in and executed the work just like if seamless, nothing had happened. So thank you, Mohammed, for your service and for your time here with us.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. Mr. Sharif, I think you have been here longer than the majority of the board, if you look around and think about it. So thank you for lending us your talent, your intelligence, your expertise, and your consummate professionalism. You've been tremendous to work with, and I wish we could have worked together closely. I didn't realize your time was going to come to an end so quickly. But you're exactly what we're looking for in the city, so hopefully something will work out in the future. So I just want to commend you and thank you very much for your service to the city and the board.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Commissioner Davis.
Mr. Sharif, I've on many occasions had an opportunity to talk with you and discuss with issues that you are concerned about. As you know, I believe everybody should have a job. And you presented as a person who's very inquisitive. You were very motivated about the work that you do here, very excited, and I like that. And I wish you the very best, and obviously I wish that definitely you could get a job somewhere here in the city of Los Angeles. So hopefully that'll come true in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Mr. Sharif, I don't know that I've called you that before, but you certainly deserve it today for your service, Mohammed. You are just a great asset for our department. I've really enjoyed the time that you've been here. You are just you epitomize what we look for in young talent. You're a great representative of your generation. I just want to thank you for the work that you put in and the heart that you put into your work and the interest and your curiosity. I know this, Mohammed, because you told me a little bit about your story. You've taken some risks in your life, and you're a very independent, driven person. And LA, our city, just benefits from your energy and from your attitude and from your work ethic. You've left, obviously, a great impression with us. I'll just say to you publicly, Mohammed, as you go through your young professional career, if you ever need a reference, I will always be a reference for you. I've worked directly with you for over a year now, about a year and a half. So, I would be happy and honored to do that. That said, I'll add to the chorus here that I'm hoping that I get to be a reference for you within the city of Los Angeles, because we want you to stay within the city family. There are incredible opportunities all throughout the best city in the world to work at, which you found. I know that you will continue seeking out those opportunities and continue to grow. And might I just add, on a personal note, Mohammed, every time that I see you in the morning or in the afternoon, you are just a light that comes into the room. You make people feel welcome. You're always a pleasant greeter, and even if I'm frustrated because I've had a hard day, somehow you put a smile on people's face with just your energy and your attitude. So thank you for everything that you've done for us, Mohammed, and thank you for your work, Mr. Sharif, might I say. Go
Thank you
ahead,
so
sir.
much.
Oh, and let me add one more thing. And I know that our executive officer who's worked with you too would like to say a few words. So I came in last weekend on Commissioner Garcia's beautification conference, and I walked in, and there's Mohammed at the podium emceeing one of the panels, and I thought two things: one, great opportunity for you and your willingness to step up and expand your skill set. Two, you did a good job, but I wanted to thank both Paul and Alda, Commissioner Garcia, for providing that opportunity for him. And I got to sit back and watch a bit and really just enjoyed the whole process. So thank you, sir. With that, Dr. Campos, and then we'll hear from Mr. Sharif.
Thank you so much, President.
Mohammed, Fernando Campos, just wanted to say how professional you are throughout your tenure here with us. You are the ideal and role model of an intern. I remember 2 years ago when I was proposing an internship program here with the board. I believe President James and Pro Tem Davis would remember this. We had an internship program that was not necessarily driven by finding the right local talent. And when we found you, one of the things that resonated, and I met you at a mixer, at Cal State LA mixer, and since that time, the first thing that I thought was, Mohammed is so professional. He's so courteous. Not only that, but your time here with us with the Board of Public Works, you demonstrated that you were a change agent. You were responsive, you were responsible, and you always had that I can do attitude. So I want to thank you publicly for getting things done and just making change, because that is a difficult thing to do. And you were always going against some odds, and you just continued moving through because you believed in what you were doing. And so I want to say thank you for that. In addition to that, I believe the internship program that we created here with the board provides that hands-on experience, and that was my main goal, and I believe even the commissioners here, along with Paul Roch and all staff within the Board of Public Works and the Department of Public Works as a whole, just to provide interns that opportunity to gain that experience, to develop professionally, make sure that we have the right opportunities so that you can take the skill set learned here in this position as an intern and then move on to the next career choice. We're hoping that that career choice or that next step in your career will be here with the City of Los Angeles. And so I echo our fellow commissioners here that definitely the city is very lucky to have you, and we would like to continue to have that asset here with the City of Los Angeles. And I'm just going to conclude by just saying, highlighting one of the things that Mohammed did for us during his internship. Not only did he work on the Rain Barrel program, working with Coca-Cola, and then also the community events and the beautification summit, but he also helped us with our sidewalk repair program. At the time, we had over 1,500 folks on the wait list for their sidewalk repair program incentives. We have driven that number down to close to about 150, 180 of that 1,500. So this has primarily been driven by Mohammed. So he stepped up to the plate. He never... He knew the numbers, and every month, in fact, every month a report goes out to all commissioners.
And we get them.
And you get them, explaining to you and highlighting where we are with the sidewalk repair program, the incentive portion, the rebate program. So with that said, Mohammed, thank you. I don't think we could have done it without you. And you are the ideal internship, and the way we structured this program is exactly that, for that reason, 18 months, so that it's not just a 2-3 month duration. It's an 18-month duration that you can actually catapult and use this as a foundation to your next step in your career. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Mr. Sharif, you have the floor again, twice in 1 week in this room.
Yes, sir. I'd like to say a few words. I am honored to have received this certificate. Thank you so much for your kind words. I am very grateful from the bottom of my heart to have been given the opportunity to work at Board of Public Works, at this exquisite building, working with amazing people, and serving City of Los Angeles. I thank you for your support and for your confidence in me, and I'd like to thank Mr. Roch. It's not going to happen. for his support. I have to say this, that he is one of the best bosses I ever had. I hope that I can continue working with him. And I also like to thank my colleagues, Anna Huizar, Ana Ruiz, and my most favorite, Virginia Valencia. She sits next to me. She is my confidant. And my colleague over here, Jerry Valido. I couldn't have been more lucky to work here. So, and sorry, I didn't see her. My other colleague, Karina Casillas. And I thank you all for all your support. And thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. So we'll take just a brief break from our agenda for a quick photograph over here, Mohammed. Thank you. And we'll be right back. Okay. Agenda item number 4, contract amendments. Various OCB contractors recommending that the board authorize OCB to execute an amendment to contract numbers. I'm just going to read through these. Well, the contract numbers are in the agenda, but let me read the entities and the amounts. First, Central City Action Committee in the amount of $50,000. Secondly, Koreatown Youth and Community Center in the amount of $50,000. Third, Coalition for Responsible Community Development in the amount of $50,000. Fourth, with Gang Alternatives Program in the amount of $150,000. Fifth, Hollywood Beautification Team in the amount of $50,000. Sixth, New Directions for Youth in the amount of $50,000. Seventh, Pacific Graffiti Solutions in the amount of $50,000. Eighth, West Valley Alliance in the amount of $33,000. So, Mr. Roch, come on up. I've got a couple speaker cards on 4-1, which is CCAC. So, let's separate these. You've got, we have 8 of them, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, let's do 2 through 7 of agenda item number 4, and you'll summarize kind of what's going on here, and then we'll take 4-1 CCAC separately.
Okay. 2 through 7 or 2 through 8?
2 through 8,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. OCB contracts with nonprofit community-based organizations around the city for graffiti removal, litter and weed abatement, and other cleanup and beautification services. Traditionally, funding is set aside for these contractors to hire youth during the summer months in order to both provide jobs and to provide an increase in OCB services. Last summer, over 200 Los Angeles youth were able to obtain jobs via the various OCB contractors. Typical work has included removing stickers from light poles and the backs of street signs, cleaning graffiti, cleaning weeds and litter, and also assisting with some of the office work too, data entry, answering phones, things like that, so that they're able to get an amount of experience, not just working in the field, but also some office type of work as well. So we are requesting approval from the board to amend existing contracts in order to provide funding for the hiring of youth this summer.
Okay, before we do that, we have a group that's in the room. What's the common denominator for everyone? Yes. Oh, great. Well, thank you. We just had the UCL. No, Deputy. What? Yes, we do. UCLA was just here for their centennial. The band was in the hallway, and so that there was quite an echo. But let me just say, first of all, welcome to all of you. Briefly, we're the Board of Public Works. The five of us are appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the city council, and we oversee, along with our bureau representatives, the Department of Public Works, which is it's the infrastructure department for the city of Los Angeles. The five bureaus are sanitation, street services, street lighting, engineering, and contract administration. And then the board offices also have the film and television permitting office, as well as the petroleum and natural gas administration and safety office, and our Office of Community Beautification, which is community neighborhood cleanups and graffiti removal. That's the agenda item that we're on right now. I will tell you, the folks that come in like to hear this, outside of a movie studio in Los Angeles, you're in the most filmed room outside of a movie studio. Many feature films, everything from A Few Good Men to TV shows like How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal have both been filmed here. It serves as, this area is the conference room for the White House in the TV show Veep. And it's been the Supreme Court. It's been a church. The wedding and the TV show Bones happened here. We just finished a pretty long shoot with Lethal Weapon that was here. And then there's a new television show on CBS called Strange something with the word. It's not Stranger Things, but Strange something. It's a 20s period piece, and they've been shooting here a bit as well. So thank you for visiting this, the most visited city hall in the United States, which is our Los Angeles City Hall. Take all the pictures you want. Oh, you bet. Notice the city seal in the ceiling. This is the murals and the woodwork and the ceilings in the building are majestic. So thank you for being here. And we'll continue with our agenda item. Mr. Roch, where'd you go? There you are. Thanks. So any questions at all on agenda item number 4, 2 through 7? I'm sorry, I keep saying that, 2 through 8.
So,
Commissioner Davis.
Sure, this is the structure for our summer program. And how many people do we anticipate that we'll be hiring this summer through the program?
Approximately 200 youth should be hired, same number as last year, correct?
Okay,
yes.
Wonderful. And the program, is it a 6-week program? How many weeks again?
Yeah, typically, I mean, each contractor kind of works it a little bit differently. Some of them have a whole bunch of youth that come to them, so they'll rotate them through in like 3-week periods or something like that. Some of them have youth available for up to 8 weeks,
Sure.
So it's a little bit different for each one. But typically, yeah, you could say, 6 to 8 weeks for youth.
Great, and then the age range for the young people that we hire is what, up to 18 or?
Yeah, they're primarily high school students, although I know that some of the contractors have hired, youth who are a year or two out of high school, maybe, up to age 20 or something like that. But the vast majority of these are probably between the ages of 15 to 18, 15 to 19.
Well, as always, I think that this is an important program and very valuable to the young people in our city, and I'm very glad to support it, and I hope that we, in the future, maybe will even continue to expand the resources to this program. It's money well spent.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Garcia. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President. Paul, it might be coming. I just don't see it here. Is Summer Graffiti Busters going to get some type of summer youth program as well?
So we have a couple contractors that really prefer not to utilize youth. And Silmar Graffiti Busters is able to get so many community service workers that they've almost got, too many people, working for them. So we found it's better to give it to other contractors in the San Fernando Valley to kind of boost them up and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
Okay, thank you. We've got two speaker cards on 4-1, which is Central City Action Committee, which is referenced in the board report, serve council districts 1 and 13. I've got George Yu and Connie Vuong, so in whichever order the two of you would prefer. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I never noticed that, and I was just watching A Few Good Men last night, as a matter of fact. My name is George Yu. I'm the executive director of the Chinatown Business Improvement District, established in 2000, and we're on our second 10-year term. Separate from that, my company owns a building in Chinatown, probably best known for where Howling Rays is right now, and we've owned that building since 1976. So it's a long-time stakeholder. First of all, I'm holding the contract in my hand, and expectations and attention to detail is key. Currently, 24 hours abatement, I have many that are over 24 days. Right now, I have 9 open requests, multiple.
To 9?
9. It's not 9. It's not the end of the world, but going back to March 17 this year, multiple, countless closed requests over the years. And I have communicated with Jerry way back with OCB, but quite frankly, you just give up. I'll share this with council office once in a while. It's only because of meeting Commissioner Caloza that I've really taken another stab at this. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Every other wall in Chinatown that's outside of BID boundaries is the gray-green color. I don't even know what you call that color, but it's not a matching color for sure. The temple at 1349 North Broadway, it's a religious institution, and that wall, because of the non-matching paint that's blocked out, is tagged constantly. They have since very recently, again, due to Commissioner Caloza, they've painted a different shade of yellow. And if it doesn't match, if it's blocked out, if it's not removed from bare surface, it's going to get tagged. We've had way too much experience with this. This contract has gone from $570,000 to now proposed $750,000, a 32% increase. I'm not saying there hasn't been 32% increase in graffiti, but if the work is being properly abated, we would not be spending the same money over and over again. And I won't even get into the weed abatement. There's no weed abatement, no litter pickup being done. That's all being done by the BID, and a lot of times through LACC with their community service workers. Solano Canyon is a community just north of Chinatown. That community garden wall faces the 110 freeway. I don't know how many of you guys drive by it. Look at it, okay? It's getting closer, but how difficult is that to match? It's not. It's just whether you give a damn. And it's just our community is suffering because of it, and this must stop. You're wasting money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we have Connie Vaughn.
Hi, good morning. My name is Connie Vong, and I'm a resident in Chinatown. And what I've noticed is what George said, the paint does not match. The walls are being painted over on bare walls when it could be easily removed, not within a timely manner, 24 hours. Most of the time, I do see BID's pressure washer and their crew out there because I'm very proud of the community I live in, and I don't want to see it tagged like other Chinatown in the country. And something has to be done where this process works for the community and the quality of life for our community. And the wall he talked about in the garden, it faces a Solano Elementary School. Like, kids walk by it and see it. That's not fair to them to see something like that, not taken care of. And it's just a general comment from me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming this morning. Mr. Roch, a couple of questions. And I know that I've got Commissioner Caloza on the table as well, along with everybody pretty much. So let me, there was a question raised by Mr. Yu regarding matching of paint. And here's kind of what I want to throw out there. We've got $50,000 to CCAC that's on the table for a summer youth program going forward. And so I anticipate that we'll be talking about what happens if we don't go forward with that today, or if we do go forward with that today, are we getting assurances, or have we gotten assurances from CCAC that as a result of Commissioner Caloza's work that's been discussed, where they're going to be able to match up paint? I know that you sent over a correction plan proposal. I may have the wording wrong.
Yeah.
So those are just kind of what you could summarize for me before I go to my colleagues.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So yes, CCAC has faced challenges like all our contractors in dealing with increased cost of the prevailing wage. And, they have had issues with not using the correct color of paint. We're not always able to exactly match a wall, because it does get quite expensive, but certainly we expect to see if a wall is beige, that they're going to use a beige paint and not some other color on it. So we have been working with them. They have, over the past week and a half, shown improvement. They have gone out and sort of solidified particular walls, got them all to a standardized color. They do state that there is work occurring in the area that they are not doing. I don't know if it's from the BID. They did mention they had crews out there as well. But CCAC is stating that some other crews are out there putting up strange colors, and they're then being blamed for it. We have not so far at this point verified whether that's the case or not, but I don't really have a reason to not believe them that that's the case. CCAC works a very difficult area. They have the southern portion of Council District 1, so MacArthur Park, Westlake, Alvarado, Elysian Valley, Chinatown. They are all highly impacted areas of graffiti. And they have kind of moved. There's always a continual balance between quantity and quality. And we do expect quality work. And they did get kind of to the point where it became too noticeable. But there's always that balance between if you have 20 or 30 requests that you're trying to get done by the end of the day, and your staff is limited, and are you going to spend an extra 20 minutes on each wall really making it look completely fresh? But then that means maybe 10 walls at the end of the day are not going to be done. That's just a continual balance. And we are working with Central City Action Committee. Karina Casillas, who's the OCB coordinator, has been working closely with them just to kind of help fix the problem. Ultimately, if the decision was not to fund CCAC for summer youth, we could take those funds and give them to other contractors, but that would mean two things. One, the youth in the CCAC area, Westlake, Alvarado, Chinatown, Elysian Valley, would likely not be offered summer youth jobs because it would be very difficult for them to, say, get down to Koreatown or out to Hollywood or something like that. And secondly, services that these youth would be providing would not be in the CCAC area. They would go out to other contractors, and we would leave a big hole right in the middle of the city where a huge amount of work is needed, and having 30 or 40 youth helping to clean up graffiti, to straighten up the light poles, pull stickers off stop signs and things like that would be of tremendous value.
All right, we'll start with Commissioner Caloza, then Commissioner Cabello, then Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, President James. Paul, can you please just state how long CCAC has been a contractor for the Office of Community Beautification?
Since 1989. They are one of the original OCB contractors.
So they've been around for a very long time, over several decades, and so they're familiar with what's in the contract and what quality of work that we as a city expect, yes?
Yes.
And is this the first time that you've heard of issues with CCAC before I brought it to your attention?
No.
No. And but is this the first time OCB is doing something about it, to issue them a corrective action plan?
We have talked to them over the years about these issues.
In terms of an official action, is this the first time OCB has done something about this?
Off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure. We may have issued them a corrective action plan in the past as well.
Okay, if you could follow up and just check if this is the first time or not, that would be incredibly helpful. I think for me, you know, I was going around Chinatown when I first started here at the board, and you know, came across George Yu and the Chinatown bid and some of the stakeholders there, and was introduced to them. And so we did a drive-through in Chinatown. This was one of the first things that I noticed. You know, it was actually not something that the Chinatown bid actually, you know, paid attention to in terms of giving me an extreme amount of detail of wanting me to focus on, but it was something that I just took, you know, extreme interest in because it was really concerning to see that, you know, this patchwork of colors in this community was like this, and that when I was told that it was the city's work and the contractors' work, our contractors, that's when I reached out to the OCB team so that I could really fully understand whether this was just one instance or if this was something that had been going on for years that had been more systemic. I think upon my findings and spending hours on this issue that it seems to be the latter, that this, as you mentioned, has happened before, and that, you know, as a member of this board, you know, it's our mission to improve the quality of life of all Angelinos, especially from minority communities. And a big part of that is through your work in the Office of Community Beautification. And when these communities and these individuals, you know, walk outside their door and they look out in their neighborhood, you know, what they see impacts their quality of life. So when they see that we can't be bothered to match the paint, that's not just something that's nice to do for this contractor, that is in their contract. And we are paying them for this service. So for me, I would personally like to continue this item, having spent a great amount of time on this already with you, and maybe the next step would be to really make sure that the contractor and the Chinatown community are in the same room so that we can improve communication and overall, you know, the service, because, you know, I do think that this is something that's been happening for several years now.
I would just say, I mean, continuing the item for too long, we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year. If we're not able to get the funds into the contract and the contract encumbered probably within the next 10 days or something like that, then it won't happen. So just FYI.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. Mr. Raj, can you please explain why, if on the 16th you sent an email to CCAC stating some issues and the fact that you didn't go on a ride-along, and then these are the provisions of the contract they need to meet, this item was brought to us, to the board, if only you claimed earlier in your remarks this past week you've only seen an improvement? I understand you want to encumber the funds, but I find that a little disturbing only because I am very hesitant to give a contractor who's performed subpar a $50,000 contract for youth jobs when we all know full well other nonprofits like LACC do employ people in those areas and can specifically employ people in Elysian Valley, in MacArthur Park, in other areas, and have them work in those areas as well. So it's not like this is unique to CCAC. So can you explain kind of that disconnect between why this was agendized and them having not met their contract obligations?
Well, the board report itself was actually written and submitted kind of before the whole, thing with CCAC and Commissioner kind of really came about and stuff like that. Again, they are, they may have issues. They do have issues, and we're working with them to resolve those issues, and I think they've taken positive steps in the right direction. Ultimately, if funding is not provided to CCAC, yes, we can provide it somewhere else. We would need that motion probably made today just so we're able to get those funds encumbered into the contracts. But it would ultimately, I believe, this is just my opinion, have a negative impact on youth that would typically get jobs through CCAC and the area that's serviced by CCAC.
Sorry, colleagues, I have a few more questions. I apologize. Do we know if this is an issue in other areas? So not all parts of their service area are lucky enough to have bids like Chinatown does. So I don't think there's a MacArthur Park bid or an Elysian Valley bid, mostly because there's not a lot of businesses. It's a mostly residential area. But, I mean, what are your metrics for measuring the contract's compliance? I just would be really curious for those really, really underserved areas that aren't lucky enough to have folks like the two speakers we had here overseeing their community.
So OCB staff, we have different coordinators that monitor different contractors, and they go out into the field and visually inspect the work that's being done, whether it's work that was submitted because somebody requested it through 311, or just the proactive work that the contractors are doing. So OCB staff will drive up and down major corridors, check for proper color matching, check for an absence of graffiti, make sure that if they see some tagging on a wall, if they come back a week later, that they don't see the same tagging sitting there. So that's the primary way that we monitor the work being performed by the contractors. We do also look into the citywide request system as far as number of outstanding requests that there might be, or aging, how long those requests are sitting there before they are handled. So those are kind of the main ways that we look at it. We do understand that not only CCAC, but all of our contractors are dealing with difficult issues these days as far as impacted budgets with the prevailing wage, and that overall on a citywide basis, we're going to have removed about 3 million square feet less graffiti than we did last year, and about 5 million square feet less graffiti than we did 2 years ago.
Well, I'm completely sympathetic to the prevailing wage issue and to Mr. Yu's point that these responses are taking longer, and that's happening citywide with every single contractor we have. I think there's a difference between the time lapsed and the quality of work, the paint matching, the attention to detail. And I think that's what the issue Commissioner Caloza and myself have. And I'd like to know, and if you can please report back at some point, either written or verbal, I'd be fine with, on that kind of consistent quality for all our contractors throughout the city and for these particularly underserved areas that don't have the benefit of community organizations like BIDS. They're really underserved, like Pico Union, MacArthur Park, et cetera. And I think I have one more question. Let me see. I think that's it for now, but I'll just close by saying this. I do want that report back, but I understand your need for the encumbrance of funds and your 10-day timeline. I am going to second Commissioner Colosa's motion. I'm just going to say that you created the motion to continue this item, and I'm amenable to continuing it to Wednesday as we're in recess on Monday, because I don't feel comfortable moving forward right now with them. I would like to get a little bit more information, and I am sure there is some procedural way where we can figure out how to award the contract or encumber funds in a timely manner before the end of the fiscal year. I'm confident we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Commissioner Davis.
The point of clarification, is it the GAP program that serves the South Los Angeles area?
GAP services a portion, the southern portion of Council District 8. They service all of CD 15, so from Watts down to the harbor. They service the downtown LA area and then the Boyle Heights area of CD 14.
And I guess we don't have as many cases in the 10th district in the Herb Wesson's area. That's a kind of, I guess they don't consider it South LA, but the south part of Los Angeles area. Not getting into the semantics of geography. But any of the 10th district areas, a few.
Yeah, so
who is the provider of
so
service in that area?
the provider there, a portion of CD10 is Los Angeles Conservation Corps, and we tend not to have to give them funding for a couple reasons. One, they get so much funding for summer youth from various other aspects that they are well suited in order to get this. So they are not a part of this funding. Pacific Graffiti Solutions does service a portion of Council District 10, and they are a part of this funding.
Who does the 9th, where I know, in fact, we do have some?
The 9th is done by Coalition for Responsible Community Development. I believe they are on the list, yes.
Okay, Coalition. Okay, I see them. So they do that. Okay, and I hear some of the concerns about the quality of service provided. I have a couple of issues in that issue. One is in terms of the matching of paint. You mentioned that we'd have to take this money to buy other paint. Have we approached the City Council about the need that we have for resources to get appropriate paint? And so that we can get it in a way, the funding I'm talking about, that would not impact on the service we provide in doing the work, one, and number two, in providing jobs for young people, which is also equally important. As we know, the mayor, every summer, this I would consider as a part of his initiative of putting young people to work every summer. And so I do believe that that is important. Have we explored the possibility of getting additional funds to get the appropriate paint?
So, yeah, I mean, obviously.
Aside from this.
Yeah. Aside from this, some of the council districts, as you guys are well aware, will provide supplemental funding to the contractors in their area through some of their discretionary funds that they can use to, help them with supplies and things like that.
Would it be possible that we could give deeper thought to coordinating the council's output on this task? Could we ask them in an organized way so that they can put some organized money behind the appropriate paint? It not only benefits us as administrators, it benefits the council members as the representatives from these areas that need coordinated paint that fit into the infrastructure of their own districts. We need to make an ask that's very clear, that I would believe that they would be motivated to give us extra monies that doesn't impact on the good work we're doing and putting our young people to work. Is that something that we could consider moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we could consider. Just as an FYI, I mean, typically all of our contractors have standardized colors, standard beige, a white, a gray, a tan, brick-colored red that they primarily use. They do also have the capability to match, if somebody has a aqua blue wall or a purple wall or something like that, they can color match that wall and use a matching color. And they do that quite a bit. The issue is one of timeliness and costliness to do that.
Well, that's what I'm speaking to, as it particularly relates to the cost, that I believe if we present a comprehensive proposal to the council members, that we could bridge the gap on this particular problem, because I would think that they would be motivated to make sure that their district looks the best that it can possibly look, and at the same time not hamper our good work and putting young people to work. We should not have, the good should not be the sacrifice, the bad should not be the sacrifice for the good. The fact that we're not meeting the goal on the appropriate paint should not kill the good work we're doing and putting young people to work. And I think that the resources and the money is there, and that we can take this new money and get the appropriate paint and do the right thing. And then my final thing is that when we look at performance and the underperformance of contracts that are on this proposal before us, every tub has to stand on its own bottom. So out of 8, if 2 of them are not performing, maybe we can move 6 forward and then have some discussion.
We've done that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
Yeah, that's why we just separated the first one.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that okay? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Very quick. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Davis, I think the issue is not so much resources for the appropriate paint. It's the lack of attention to detail and kind of, for lack of a better term, a job that is not as detail and carefully oriented as it should be and not living up to the specifications. It's not a matter of resources per se. It's that we are putting up what is there, or they're not taking the time to match or to do that kind of work. So I just wanted to have that clarification.
So they're not taking pride in their work, basically.
I can't say that. That's, I think, a subjective matter, but objectively, they are not taking the time to match the paint. And it's the quality of work that we have the issue with, not the resources for the work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President James. So this is a conflicting issue as we've been working with prevailing wage for the past a lot of years, and I personally met with a lot of the nonprofits that work under this project, and they're heavily impacted by not only the fact that the prevailing wage went up, but just coordinating the services out there, making sure that folks go out at a timely manner. So I know that you've addressed that many times, and I think a lot of the nonprofits probably need some help in administering this kind of new budget that they have now to face. And so that I say that because that is the constant kind of answer we're getting from a lot of our nonprofits about the work out there, and it relates to this. So one question is, was CCA told about today's board item and that they would have an opportunity?
They were not, but I will make sure they know about Wednesday.
Okay,
so.
I would have hoped that they would have been here also, so that they could have defended themselves if that's what they wanted to do. But I support the motion of expanding it to next week so that we can clarify some of these unresolved issues. But I would recommend that CCAC sit down, maybe bring them here, or sit down face to face with either yourself and Karina, who oversees that department, maybe our commissioners, just kind of how we have a hearing on other items out there, not specifically to graffiti, but we have hearings on other items, just to see what is it that exactly that there seems to be the issue with. I just feel that they should have also had a choice to speak as well. But I recommend that because I do not want to lose the opportunity for City 1 youth to have summer jobs. So the underlying goal for me is that we do not lose the opportunity for those young students out in that area to have a summer job opportunity. That is probably one of the areas that needs it the most in the whole city. It's probably one of the areas that those youth will take the best advantage of. And so I don't want to lose that opportunity. So if we can schedule it and table it back by next Wednesday, and if we can get those folks in the door here and have a thorough conversation with them to see what their performance looks like. Because I do support that we do get a better quality service out there.
me too.
I do support that. I do know that we have a mixer in our warehouse, and they are more than welcome to go use it, I imagine, right?
They have a mixer at their own site.
Then we should really, I need to know, is it a lack of understanding on how to use that mixer? Is there not enough people? What is it that is really causing them not to match the color scheme to the walls? So I'm kind of in both areas on this, but I really do recommend that we have a sit-down conversation with them to see what is it that they're also doing. And Karina, I know that she oversees it. Maybe we can activate her to be a lot more attention to detail and to make sure that she kind of puts them in a probation type of period where they have to respond to more action items quicker and more attention to the quality that goes out there, and also to their communication partners within their own circle of neighborhoods. So those were my recommendations for this. I kind of support both yours and my colleagues here as well. And I hope to hear back hopefully by next Wednesday that we did have a sit-down meeting with Central City. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Let me just make the record clear on one thing, and let me confirm this with you, Dr. Campos, because my memory is normally intact, but I'm trying to remember. Did we, on items 2 through 8, did we vote on those yet?
You did not.
Okay, that's what I thought. So we clearly carved out in our discussion CCAC. What I would like to do before we go back to Commissioner Caloza, let's go ahead and vote and move along agenda items 4-2 through 8, all the other contracts. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the board report recommendation to execute the amendment and the funding therewith on items agenda 4-2 through 8, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Cabello and Davis. Any objection? So without objection, that'll be what we're doing on agenda item 4-2 through 8. Now to forthwith as well. Now let's go back to agenda item 4-1 on CCAC to our discussion. Commissioner Caloza.
Thank you, President James, and thanks to my colleagues for weighing in and listening to, Paul, thank you for your work, and again, issuing a corrective action almost immediately after I met with them in their drive-through. The one thing I did want to say when I did meet with them, it was really surprising to hear directly from the contractor. And, originally when I asked them, is this your work? I had a few pictures to show, was it CCAC that abated this? And originally there was some denial that some of this work was theirs. And then the worker who does go out in the field admitted that it was indeed CCAC's work, that they weren't paint matching, and he almost said something to the effect of, I knew this day was coming. And was I supposed to paint match? And so there was a lot of concerning comments like that, where, there was an acknowledgement from the contractor that they weren't doing what they're supposed to and that they knew that. And so for me, when I look at this program and this $50,000, while I'm so supportive of youth jobs, for me, it signals a bad sign to our larger community at hand as our jobs to both think of the city's interests and the public's interests to give an additional $50,000 to an organization that has confusion among their staff, let alone giving them additional funds to train youth. And so I personally don't feel comfortable when there's, in my opinion, a lack of accountability with training their own staff, let alone training youth. And so I will just close it at that, and that, again, they are a representative of the city, and they make decisions every day that represent us as a board. And for me, this just doesn't cut it.
Okay, thank you. So we've got the motion and the second. Commissioner Garcia, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just want to say, I know that we're giving you kind of a short period because Monday's a holiday, and then Tuesday is kind of the day that they should probably come here. I think we really need to work on the corrective action method for this agency. I agree with them.
I'm sorry to interrupt you for a moment, Commissioner Garcia. Sure. We could kick to Friday, right? That gives Paul
give them more
time.
days.
Don't we still have enough time on appropriation?
For
to encumber
appropriation
the
purposes?
funds?
Oh,
If we-
absolutely. You can
Yeah,
go all the
okay.
way till
We don't have to
June.
give him such a short
June
window.
5th,
I
June
had only,
7th.
just for the record, I had only suggested Wednesday because of the urgency with Mr. Roch had stated. So if we're good with Friday, I mean,
That
that
gives
gives us
you-
more breathing room.
I mean, I guess, so what is it you would really be looking for us to
Well,
get
let's go
to
back to
you
Commissioner
prior to the
Garcia,
board?
then
so
we'll
that-
go ahead and finish, and then we'll, knowing that it's not going to be Wednesday, we can at least do Friday, which is a week, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think that we definitely need to have CTA executive director on the table.
Yes.
So I understand that staff, sometimes have their own way of speaking, and I get that that's probably the way addressed Commissioner Calosa, and maybe that wasn't the best proper way to do it, and I think the executive director needs to be on the table to hear kind of what's happening. So from now into Friday, what I would like to see is a sit-down meeting with the executive staff for CCAC, and your staff, and either one of us. I'm open to hearing this conversation. I know these contracts already pretty well, and just to get a clarification, what is their, I guess, feedback, or I guess their answers to how come they're not color matching, how come they're lacking on their details of service, how come the quality has gone down, how come we have some of their staff members not working professionally to the level that we expect them to. So those are the things I think we want to have before we come on board clear, before we can execute the contract, which is the $50,000.
And we did initially do a sit-down with OCB, Commissioner Calosa, and Marianne Hayashi, who is the executive director of Central City Action Committee, and also their field guy who works in the Chinatown area. And they did initially, as I recall, the field guy said, yes, that was mine. That's my bad. I should have done better. I was in a rush, whatever. And they kind of copped out to that right away. Secondly, then the following week, Commissioner Calosa and David Bermudez, who's kind of the guy that really oversees the field workers and stuff, did a drive-through of the area, and I wasn't able to participate on that, so I'm not 100% sure of all the discussion that happened there, but what was reported back to me was that it wasn't, he was more on the defensive and not really willing to work things out and stuff like that. And so based on what I heard then and the photos that I had seen, that's when we then decided to do a corrective action plan with Central City Action Committee. Since that time, they have submitted several locations where they have gone back and standardized the colors of the wall. We could certainly arrange another sit-down if Commissioner would like to. I'm fine doing that. Or we can just have CAC come here to either Wednesday or Friday and work that out. I think on next Friday I'm supposed to fill in for Fernando over there, so it might be easier if we did it on Wednesday and I could stand here rather than sit over there or something. But
Okay, then we'll leave it on Wednesday. Go ahead, Commissioner.
And may
Cabello.
I just say, so I really do hope that's enough time, because I think I would like to sit down with them, because per Commissioner Calosa, her meeting with the executive director and staff was where they were either blatantly denying and then retracting that statement. And there seems to be inconsistencies about, in terms of their training, about their quality of work and what they do and what they admit that they did do or didn't do. It behooves us to have them here reporting back to us publicly about this consistency or lack thereof in work and compliance to their contract. So I would like both. Honestly, because maybe there's something we can work out, and we do want to do it in a transparent manner, and I'd hate to bring them here, question these things, and understand that maybe they are on the right path forward, but we don't know, and we don't have that information. And I think given these meetings, given the ride-along, given the mea culpas, it is still disturbing that this is on the agenda, and I, again, support Commissioner Calosa 100% on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. So let me ask this question, Paul, either from you or Dr. Campos or Mr. Jordan. Hearing the whole discussion today regarding CCAC, one, I think they're going to get the message that we, and sorry I'm the lawyer on the group, but I'm just going to say that we think they're maybe in breach of their contract, okay? So they're going to get that message. And there are things that they can do to correct their action, possibly, depending on what the board decides to do regarding this additional funding. Here's my question. And we don't have to know this today necessarily, Mr. Jordan and Mr. Campos, but certainly by Wednesday. Is it possible, is there a way procedurally for the board on this contract to encumber the funds, but not necessarily spend them with this contractor until we see satisfaction in a corrected work product? And the reason I'm saying that is maybe that solves your encumbrance problem with the end of the budget coming, but it gives us the ability to not give the money to them until we see work product that's satisfactory to the bid and to the community and to Commissioner Caloza and to Commissioner Cabello, et cetera.
I think we could encumber the funds into their contract and not let them invoice for them until they have proven or shown, demonstrated improvement. I think the one risk would be if you encumber them into one contract, then they would not be available should the decision be to give those funds to another contract.
Well, that's my question. Can we encumber the funds, not lose that funding, but have that be not specific to one contract, but to a general program?
Not to the one contract. Fernando Campos, executive officer.
And by the way, Dr. Campos, this is something you may know now, but we can also, we have between now and Wednesday to research it to get where we're going, but go ahead.
This is a great concept. Yes, you can encumber the funds. The board could consider approving item number 4.1 subject to the board's approval to the release of the notice of to proceed. In other words, you can authorize the contract amendment, get the monies encumbered, but do not release the authorization to continue the work under the $50,000 that's before you. Another option is you can approve the contract amendment, encumber the funds, and then put a caveat that those funds cannot be spent until a certain condition has been met. So it'll get you to the same place if this board wanted to move forward in that direction. Alternatively, your board could just continue the whole item until next week or the week after.
So here's what I'd like to do, and I know I've got Commissioner Davis on the table as well, but I would like to, I think we're going to continue the item to Wednesday. There's consensus for that. By Wednesday, in preparation for the Wednesday discussion, it would be great, Dr. Campos and Mr. Jordan, if we could, and Mr. Roch, if we could kind of have a list of what our encumbering options might be so we can all discuss those. That said, Commissioner Davis.
I think that in terms of process and procedures, that it's time to have them to come before the board. We've already had the executive meeting. We've already talked with them on that. And now that we have reviewed all of that process, it is time for them to come before the board so we can have a bigger conversation for what the entire board's expectations are as it relates to contractors on this contract. I think they need to know that we certainly don't feel that they have taken pride in the work in terms of the way that they have implemented the service that they are providing, and that secondly, we would hope that they, like other contractors on this contract, would give us a project demonstrating excellence, and we don't feel that they have done that. And in summary, I will say, when we look at how, in fact, we work with on this board other prime contractors and others who do business for us conceptually in a similar way, they come before us. Usually they have the contract administration review, and they come before us and they brief us, and they don't keep going back into executive sessions over and over again. And while we don't have that system in terms of the measuring of quality control on contracts before the Office of Beautification, at the same time the board has the opportunity to still implement the same system with regard to our expectations from those who do business with us. So I think that as we look at our practice with other companies that do business with us, after we have that executive session with them, they come before us, and I would recommend that that is what time it is for this particular vendor that we're talking about today. Not an executive session, but coming before the board so they can hear from all of us, because that's just what time it is for them based upon what I'm hearing.
I think we all agree with you on that, Commissioner Davis, on that as well. So, Paul, you'll see if they can have somebody here on Wednesday, obviously, as well. So, without any other lights on, that'll be the order on 4-1. The other contracts have been approved. 4-1 for CCAC will be reheard Wednesday, May 29th at 10 a.m.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Yu and Ms. Vong, thank you both for coming this morning. And we just have the oral report left, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roch. Have a nice weekend, everyone. On our oral report is agenda item number 8, change order issued. This is policy 793 update for Mr. Fuentes.
Good morning.
Good morning. Engineering. Go ahead,
Yes,
sir.
Jose Fuentes, Bureau of Engineering, Construction Management Division. The report that you have before you lists the construction change orders under $150,000 that were issued by the city engineer, Gary Lee Moore, over the past quarter, which ran from January 1st through March 31st of 2019. The report lists the change orders by project. There are a total of 52 projects listed, for which 211 change orders were issued during that time. The aggregate value of the change orders is approximately $2.5 million. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
One moment. Give us just a second. Let me ask you this while we thumb through this, Mr. Fuentes. Is there anything in the document that we've got that is, to you, unusual or remarkable or worthy of note?
I don't quite get your
Oh, it's not a test question. I'm just wondering. That's a fair enough.
Are you asking me to volunteer more
Fair enough.
information?
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, fair enough. Good point. I'm not really wondering what. I'm just wondering if is there anything in here that you might think that hey, while you guys are looking through this, you might look at the Venice dual force main, and we've got there are a couple of items related to that. That's kind of what I'm asking. Is
Right.
there
No, I don't
any
believe there's
standout
anything
items?
special. This is all part of our normal course of work.
Right.
You authorize us to construct projects. You give us a contingency of 10%.
Right.
You trust us to administer that, and we've done that. And if the change orders do exceed 150, we come to the board and present all the facts for discussion.
And
So
this is
all of these are standard change orders that you'll find on most construction projects.
And this is just a summary of all that.
That's correct.
And that's what, which I thought, but before I go through and see if anything jumps out at me, sometimes you guys have worked with me long enough, you're going to know, okay, yeah, you might want to, this one was a bit unusual for us. And
Right.
so,
There's
okay.
nothing of note this quarter.
Okay, great. Thank you. Commissioner Davis, you're off. All right, any questions, anyone? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For the report. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
weekend.
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Fuentes. Have a nice weekend, y'all. And we're dark on Monday for the Memorial Day holiday. We'll be back for the board meeting on Wednesday, May 29th. Have we cleared the desk, Dr. Campos?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.